guys, I think it's about showtime, don't you think? Yeah, let's go ahead and get this show started, shall we? All right, let's go. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the world famous Rich Wilson Show. You saw it. Make sure if you like this show, click on that subscribe or follow button, hit the notifications, and it'll tell you every time I'm live. That's right here. 6 p.m. Central Time. Tell all of your friends about it. So tonight on the show, we've got a couple different topics. We didn't have a show for the last 2 nights, and the reason why we didn't have a show, actually the last 3 nights, construction on the studio. But we have brand new windows. In fact, if you look behind me, we got a new paint job as well. We got all kinds of stuff. So it's definitely been a good couple days, getting a lot of stuff done around here and bring you good show quality. It is Friday. That means it is almost the weekend. In fact, your weekend will start when the show comes to an end. How's that? You know what the funny thing is I put my watch on quite a while ago and never once turned it on. The smart watches. Ugh. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, how you guys doing tonight? Hope you guys are doing wonderful out there. I'm doing great. If you're out there watching the show tonight, make sure you click in and check in the chat room and say hi in the chat room. In fact, for some of you out there that may be new to the channel, when you say hi, let us know where you're from. It's awesome when we know where you're from. But anyway, tonight we're going to talk about Mayor Eric Adams and some of the bizarre shit he's said. Peloton in the news. Are your emojis racist? And are your usage of emojis racist? And we're going to talk about the lies, the cover-ups, and the distractions that are going on. And that's going to be the real serious point of tonight, is to talk about that. Some of y'all, just even by looking at my own Facebook feed, some of y'all just don't even get it. You don't understand what's going on out there. That seems a little high. I'm going to turn this down just a hair and see how that sounds. That might be a little bit better. I'm looking at it, and it's nuts how loud that is over there. Okay, maybe that's a little bit better. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into some topics on tonight. First of all, we're going to talk about our 3 small items first, and then we're going to get into the big topic tonight. New York Mayor Adams, Eric Adams over there. Now, for those of you not 100% certain on who Eric Adams is, that's Eric Adams. Eric Adams is also the one that went on the news and sat there and talked about crackers. If somebody asked him what is he doing, what is he doing out there to try and bring down the levels of crime, and he was the one that turned around and said, well, I'm the one that ran because I got a plan. You tell these other people to run for it, and all these other people talking about, and I don't see these crackers with any kind of a plan or anything like that. Anyway, Mayor Eric Adams said this asinine statement: "It is hard to tell the difference between a person hooked on cheese and someone hooked on heroin." According to the CDC, overdose deaths from opioids increased to 75,673 in a 12-month period ending in April 2021, up from 56,000 a year before. The federal agency, however, does not track deaths from eating too much cheese. Let's see here. According to Adams, you take someone on heroin, put them in a room, and someone hooked on cheese and put them in another room, and you take those away. Okay, so we'll take the heroin and we'll take the cheese away. And he goes, I challenge you to tell me the person between who's hooked on heroin and who's hooked on cheese. Mayor Adams. I love cheese. Okay, I do. And the thing is some people have said I might be a cheese addict. But I can tell you right now, when it comes to just regular cheese, I have not had a large chunk of regular cheese in a couple months. So, and I don't have withdrawals. I had some broccoli and cheddar soup today, but I don't have withdrawals. And I definitely don't, from eating cheese, I don't have marks all over me. There's not track marks on me. I don't have the burns and everything else on me. So I'm sorry, Mayor Adams, but I think you're a little on the wrong side there, and that's some crazy ass shit, man. Don't say that again. Now I will say this much. Speaking of heroin and things like that. If you notice, the President of the United States, folks, ladies and gentlemen, your tax dollars are going to buy syringes for heroin addicts and pipes for crack addicts. Yes, if you go back and you look at a couple of the things that just got passed recently, the Biden administration is buying crack pipes and heroin needles so that people can take these drugs, which are illegal, safely. Hold on a second. Your tax dollars are paying for people to do illegal drugs safely. And the federal government is paying for this. Heroin and crack are still illegal. And our taxpayer dollars are going to that. That doesn't make a damn bit of sense, does it? And I'm not making this shit up. I'm not making it up. Y'all think, oh, that's not what's going on. Really? Go read the bill. Read the breakdown. And read what it provides. Glass tubes with mouthpieces on it to help prevent burning of the lips. Filters to help prevent chemicals of what would be considered a poisonous effect. Well, heroin is narcotic and it's poisonous. So the filter, and then the syringes. We're buying syringes. Here's an idea. Instead of funding fucking syringes for crack, for heroin addicts, why not fund syringes for diabetics? I could get behind that. You want to give diabetics syringes? You want to give diabetics free medication to be able to manage their diabetes? I'm for that. Send my tax dollars to cover that. But I don't want my tax dollars going to crackheads and heroin addicts. Okay? I don't. This is bullshit. And that's some of the crazy crap that's going on. Another real crazy thing that's going on here. If you work for Peloton and you're one of the 2,800 people that just got laid off, part of your severance package is you get a 1-year Peloton membership. Okay? A 1-year Peloton membership. So you get let go from Peloton, and the response to the severance package, the response and saying, oh, we're sorry, but we got to let you go is, but here's a 1-year membership to Peloton. Bitch, I guarantee you, if some of these people had your equipment in their house, it got chunked out a window. Or I'll bet you it's for sale right now on, say, Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, or eBay for a discounted rate. I'm pretty sure if they got handed that, it's kind of like when Clark Griswold thought he was getting his bonus in Christmas Vacation, and he ended up getting the what was it, the jelly of the month or of the month pro, as a package, as a Christmas bonus. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I don't know where the cousin is. It's going to drive to somebody's house and drag him over there and wrapped up in a bow. But seriously, that is the dumbest shit ever. It really is. These people are probably glad to no longer work for you. Just saying. That's one hell of a way to say thank you. Sorry, we got to let you go. But here, have a free membership to our program. No wonder their stock value dropped. Folks, by the way, did you know that your usage of emojis could be racist? Did you know that? Do you use, are you a racist using your emojis? Well, which skin color emoji should you use? The answer could be more complex than you think. And this is just absolutely asinine. In 2015, 5 skin tone options became available for hand gesture emojis in addition to the default Simpsons-like yellow. Choosing one can be a simple texting shortcut for some, but for others it opens a complex conversation about race and identity. In fact, some people have found it offensive that white people have chosen to use other colors other than the white emoji hand signal and find that that's showing that they are actually racist. So using emoji, see, here's the thing when I use an emoji. If I send you a black one, a brown one, a slightly lighter brown one, a tan one, white one, or yellow one, it's not because I'm a racist. It's because my ass ain't going to take the time to make a conscious decision on which emoji I should be using. If I want to give you a thumbs up and say the darker brown one is the one that pops up first, that's the one that I'm going to use. If it's the yellow one, then it's the yellow one. See, I don't personally give a damn what color the emoji is. There's only one emoji I won't use no matter how much, and that's the pregnant man one, aka woman with really short hair. That's the only one you'll never see me use because I don't know where I would need that in a conversation. But when it comes to emojis, most of the time I just use the stupid yellow smiley face with some other emoji on it, and that's it. But if I'm giving you a thumbs up, okay, so what's using the blue one then from Facebook? What racism is that? What are you, racist against people that live on Alpha Centauri? I mean, for Christ's sakes, people, stop. Stop with this fake hate bullshit, okay? It's an emoji. Somebody's giving you a thumbs up. I mean, hell, I thought we weren't supposed to be giving you a thumbs up. Last time I had heard, during the administration of the last 4, a thumbs up meant you were a white supremacist. Or if you went, I'm okay, that's supposed to be racism. Thumbs up, supposed to be racism. But now, it's not racism if you use the emoji appropriate to your color. What kind of horse shit is that? This is where we've gone. And this kind of blends into my next story. Okay, and this is the main topic of the night. Okay, you guys notice that... Did you look? Here's a couple things you need to know. Okay. In the last NPR poll and the last AP poll, over 70% of Democrats can't tell you one thing the Biden administration has done. Not one thing. That's 70% of Democrats. That's your own party. And what makes it worse is the two things right now in America that Americans are most concerned about is the skyrocketing crime and being broke. Okay? Inflation. Inflation and crime are the top two things right now in America. COVID's actually ranked 8th right now. But did you notice on TV and social media, what you're seeing is you're not seeing their side promoting we need to do something about inflation. We need to do something about crime. That's not what they're promoting to you. What they're promoting is, oh, this about COVID. Like I said, COVID is number 8 right now in the United States on concerns. Oh, well, it's racism. Racism didn't even make the top 10 in things when people were polled about what most concerns them. Okay? They want to talk to you about racism. They want to talk to you about COVID. They want to talk to you about shit Trump did. Nobody gives a damn about anything Trump did anymore. Okay? The top two things in America that people are concerned about in the last several polls is crime and inflation. Okay? And let me give you an idea of the distraction tactics that they're giving you. Okay? Let me give you, this. In the last year, we've had a problem nationwide of racism in every major city in the United States of America. But if you notice on TV, they're only showing you the same 4 or 5 cities. Okay, the same 4 or 5 cities. Now they said their words exactly. This is according to the major media and social media, that the problem you're having is racism is becoming rampant in every single city. And they show you 5 or 6 cities. Do you know how many cities are in the United States of America? Does anybody want to take a wild shot in the dark at this? Okay, 19,495. Okay, 19,495. In the issues where we've seen people protesting and saying they're standing up against racism, 7. Out of 19,495 cities, 7 cities. Okay? That's not a broad sweeping problem across the United States. That's less than 1%. Okay? I've told you before on this show, and I'll tell you again. Systematic racism was a problem all the way up into the 90s, and it really started getting curtailed, and people started doing something about it. Systematic racism does not exist. It's a fake story. And what they do is they take the same couple stories and they keep blasting it over and over and over again. And the media keeps pumping this down your throats. Okay? And they keep dumping it and dumping it and dumping it down your throats. They don't stop. And you think, oh my God, it's everywhere. And they show you this footage, and they show you stock footage from events from years ago and events now. And they try and they blend that together. And all it is, it's like a sleight of hand. Okay? It's a sleight of hand. And they blend it together to make you think that all of this is the same event, when it's not. It's footage. It's kind of like the kids in cages when Trump was in office. Okay? But that turned out to be the kids in the cages from the Obama administration. But every time you tried to call them on that, they tell you you're full of shit. You don't know what you're talking about. But you can actually pull up the footage where it shows the dates. And they were during the Obama administration. They still told you that that was crap. And the same thing about this systematic racism issue, where they keep pulling the same footage over and over and over again. Okay? And like I said, that's not even a concern currently in the top 10 things that Americans are concerned about. They don't give a shit about that right now. Why? Because crime is at an all-time high and everybody's going broke. And here's the reason why everybody's going broke. Check this out, right? Oh, they'll tout this. Oh, people saw a 3.7 increase on their paychecks. But inflation is up over 7%. We had a record inflation that we haven't seen for over 20 years. Okay? So that almost 4% increase in your salary you saw is not only eaten up by inflation, it's completely gone. And I was correct when I told you guys back when Trump and them were talking about giving out stimulus, giving these people money. I told you we're going to have to pay for that. There's going to come a point. Everybody's like, oh, it's free money. And I said, bullshit. It's not free money. There's no such thing. Okay? And the thing is, we're paying for it now. Those posed include all the races. Are you talking about the emojis? I've got, folks, real quick, I've got chat up here, which is multi-stream, and chat down here, which is Facebook, because my Facebook won't show up in the mainstream chat, so I got them both going on. Zion Bryn is actually on both of them. So anyway, like I said, like I was saying on this, okay, they tell you, and they keep pumping this information to you, and it makes you think, oh, this has got to be it. This has got to be real. And, okay, there we go. I'm getting a response now. But the problem with that is, here's your problem. It's not. It's not real. It's false. Another thing that, and this also goes right along with race. Okay, and another thing that they've portrayed. Okay, so in the news lately, no, as in the survey included the opinion of people. Oh yes, the surveys included everyone. Democrats, Republicans, conservatives, liberals, independents, people of color. The funny thing is if you look at the oh, hey Ben, good to see you, brother. If you look at some of the polling data, they will poll people of color individually over people and people that are white. And here's the funny thing: right now, the minorities that were polled and the white people that were polled, pretty goddamn equal right now in numbers. Poverty and crime, inflation and crime are the top two things they're concerned about. Even in minorities, even in the minority community, racism didn't make the top 5. COVID's still sitting there in 4th. Okay. And so in the public schools, you remember this, that everybody made this big to-do, white supremacists are taking over the schools because they don't want CRT. And you remember they said, oh, it's a broad sweeping problem across all of our schools, and white supremacists are invading our schools, and it's all about this, right? Okay. How many schools were they showing that about? Anybody want to take a guess? Now, Zion, you don't get to make a guess because me and you had this discussion earlier today. Anybody want to take a wild guess on how many schools there's actually legitimate reported incidents? Anybody? Okay. Now, I know that there's a delay, so you might make a guess before I put it out, but I'm going to tell you right now. 11 reported serious incidents during school board meetings concerning CRT or concerning, okay, 15 school incidents concerning sexual education in schools. Okay. And you talk, and people say it's a widespreading white supremacy march across the country taking over all of our schools. Do you know how many schools are in, you know how many school districts, not schools, school districts are in the United States of America? Anybody want to take a shot at this? 13,800 public school districts in the United States. These districts collectively educate approximately 55.2 million students. Sounds a little different when you hear the actual numbers. It's a little different, isn't it? And of course, what school district do we all most commonly know now? I think that they assume it's broad because the teachers union are pushing it nationally. And a few polls and letter campaigns, teachers came forth and saying it was there. Okay. But once again, what school district do we hear about the most? Folks, that is the wonderful people at the far left school district board of the Loudoun County School District. You know, the same one that's told the governor to go fuck himself with his release of mandates, and the same school district that was actually caught teaching CRT, even though people tell you that CRT is a myth, that nobody was teaching it, but they actually found the correspondence back and forth between the school board and the teachers. And in fact, in that picture is one of the third highest ranking teachers union officials in America. Okay. Loudoun County School District's in the news almost every other day. But it's not across the country. Everywhere. It's not. Okay? And they make it sound like it. But you know what is everywhere? Crime and poverty. Okay? Let me tell you about a little, like one of the points of proving about inflation when everything was going south and inflation going up. When the man that's in charge got into office and started shutting down production like he put a business that I was involved with out of business because the cost of fuel went more than what we were making. They also made the cost of things so bad, people weren't ordering a lot of stuff to get delivered, and a lot of deliveries dropped. Okay? That inflation caused a company to shut down. Crime is through the roof. Just today, Phoenix, Arizona, 5 officers shot. The suspect and the woman that he had already shot in the house are dead. Now, luckily, absolutely amazing that all 5 officers will survive. One was critically wounded. But, and here's the thing that they distract you from. They don't want to talk about crime. They don't want to talk about people going broke because it's a failure. So they spin all these other things off. Like when forced to talk about crime, what does the White House press secretary do? Laughs it off. Benjamin said diesel in my area is floating around $4 a gallon. It's not that far off here, and I live in Texas. Okay, they laugh it off. Zion Brand, most districts are not to the degree of Loudoun, but if teachers are being told to push it and afraid to go against it, at least some bits are widespread. This is true. But what are they, when they're forced to talk about crime, then they tell you about how it's assault rifles. That assault rifles are the reason for it. Okay? Here's the problem with that. Weapons defined as what they define as assault rifle or assault weapon. And by the way, it's a made-up term. There is no such thing as assault weapon. Okay? Anybody want to try to argue with that one with me, I'll take you to task on it. Assault weapon does not exist. And if you're going to say it's any weapon that the military has because they love to use that one or the military could use, congratulations, 99% of the firearms out there in America right now are considered assault weapons. Okay? And by the way, for those of you who like to use the argument, well, you shouldn't own every gun. It's not like, and Biden said this, it's not like you can own a cannon. Actually, that's incorrect. James Madison, who is the one who authored the Second Amendment, actually had somebody say, does this mean we can buy a cannon? His response, yes, you can buy a cannon. Okay, so don't try to give me that weapons of war can only be with the military. Actually, the guy who co-founded the Second Amendment said you can own anything the military owns. Okay, but they tell you it's assault weapons, right? AR-15s, assault rifles. I hate that they keep saying that because so many morons in this country believe that AR stands for assault rifle. That's not true. It's armor light. But anyway, I digress. Did you know that crimes involving their so-called definition assault weapons are actually down 68%? Yeah, and back in our founding fathers' days, private citizens owned warships. Tell me why if the Second Amendment says I can own in 78 says that I can own a warship, then why in 2022 can I not go out and buy a battleship? Mainly because there are no battleships left. They've all been made museums or sunk or scrapped. But we had weapons of war when we were in. Well, I mean, think about it this way, okay? The Mossberg 500 shotgun, which I have in this closet right here, is an issued. It is issued in the United States military. The Mossberg 500. The 45 that my lovely lady bought me, sitting downstairs, is authorized for use in the United States Marines and the United States Army. I'm not sure about the Air Force. I mean, I don't think the Air Force needs guns. They've got A-10 Warhawks. Why do they need guns? But the crime's too expensive, but the intent was there should be no restrictions. You're right. Oh, Ben's like, what, we had weapons of war when we were in? I mean, I didn't. I had a now I understand the crux of your comment, Ben. I carried around a 9mm that was not a Beretta. Okay, in fact, mine was a Smith & Wesson. Okay, I also had a Mossberg, and I had an M60. Now that you could say, well, that would be okay, but these are the things But I had a Mossberg 500 when I was in the Army. I had a Smith & Wesson 9mm when I was in the Army. I also had Beretta's version of the 1911, which Beretta's version of the 1911 is a piece of shit. But did you know actually legally you can own a tank? Legally you can. But these are the things, but I'm getting off topic. I'm going down a rabbit hole. But these are the things they tell you is the problem. That's not the problem. Gun deaths are actually most common gun used in a crime is 9mm and a .40 caliber handgun. Then they came up with this terminology, ghost guns. Now hold on, I didn't do it right. This is how Biden said it. Ghost guns. Okay, ghost guns. Now, what a ghost gun is, for people that may not understand, and you've heard the terminology, U.S. Air Force does have and field personal defense weapons like an M4 and a 9mm. Also, just to be funny, the jets are not called jets. They are considered aerial vehicles. Okay, well, yeah, by Biden's rationale, we shouldn't have computers or Velcro or the internet. These are all for military use. Yeah, right? So anyway, ghost guns. Let me explain to you what a ghost gun is. A ghost gun is where a gun that has been purchased illegally is involved in a crime. Then that gun is torn apart, and those pieces are sold to other criminals. And what other criminals do is they'll buy one part from this one and one part from that one and one part from this one, and they assemble a gun. So the gun is made up of a bunch of different parts. Now, understand that only so many are interchangeable. Most of them, you can't interchange them. The other thing is the serial number that's on the slide still, no matter the receiver or the slide, whichever has the serial number on it, once you assemble that firearm, guess what? It's that firearm. It doesn't matter if I take 12 different ARs, build them into one. Whatever serial number is on the lower receiver, that's the gun it is. It doesn't matter the rest of it. So they come up with this term ghost gun to divert. And that's what they're doing. With all of this, they're diverting. All of this is a distraction to get you away from the finer points. That they are completely failing you as a government. 100% they are failing you. Okay? They don't want you to know this. Okay? They don't. And then they got stooges like Brian Stelter over here at CNN to turn around and regurgitate this information. And they'll buy it hook, line, and sinker. Because they have failed, and they know that when it comes to the scrutiny of the test, they know they fail. Because they don't want to address crime. They don't want to address inflation. Why? They caused inflation. DA's soft on crime have caused the crime wave spikes. You've got mayors running liberal cities that have let their DAs go out of control. And I'm not just talking about the couple cities like the rest of them. I'm talking about your 11 major cities in the United States of America. The ones that have a population of 1 million or more. Their crime waves are through the roof. Today in New York, the day's not even over yet. By the time I stopped looking at the numbers to get ready for tonight's show, which was at 4 o'clock Central Time, there had already been a reporting of 15 stabbings and 6 shootings. Believe it or not, the 6 shootings is actually lower by 4 p.m. Central Time than it was yesterday. So maybe they're running on a little bit of slow uptake, but guess what? By the end of this weekend, trust me, they'll catch up. And the problem with all of this, they can't do any part of their job properly. Domestic tranquility, foreign defense, etc. It's in the Bill of Rights and the Constitution. But the problem is the government is supposed to. And the funny thing is what people don't understand, and they think the government's the answer for all this bullshit, and it's not. The government's not the answer to all this bullshit. The true answer to this entire situation is this. Look at the foundation of this country. The government was supposed to pass a basic set of laws for people to follow, and they were supposed to maintain a military to make sure the country was safe. The local governments were the ones that were supposed to maintain the civility. But the local governments are failing to maintain the civility. And they don't want you to see this. They want to blame it on everything else. And then when it comes to in that part of the Build Back Better bill that they slipped through on another bill that nobody was told about. Okay? The buying of crack pipes and heroin needles. Because here's the problem. What do they want you to do? They want you to be dependent on them. Because the more dependent you are on them, the more that they can distract you. The more they can distract you, right? What happens when they start giving away shit to addicts? Well, the addicts keep doing it more and more and more. So then they have to keep going back to them for more and more and more. Well, then if they get kicked out of office, then they don't have it anymore. So, of course, they're going to vote for them to get more and more and more of this. So then they don't do their job. They don't do anything they're supposed to do, which now they've driven this country into, and we're on our way to a financial crash. We're on our way to a financial crash, and we're on the verge of absolute civil unrest. And they don't want you to pay attention to any of that. They want you to think it's COVID. They want you to think it's white people's fault. They want you to think that it's the Canadian truckers' fault. Or it's this or it's that. When it's not. This to tell you how out of touch our president is. The Department of Defense came out with a report stating that we botched the Afghanistan withdrawal. That we were not ready to do this. And the president was incorrect, and this was a bad decision. The Department of Defense, who so far, members of the Department of Defense and the Secretary of Defense are all on his side. right? They're all his people. Look at Miley. Miley, the biggest worthless leader I've ever seen in military history. Okay? Came out and said that they got it wrong. What was Biden's response? Kind of like Mythbusters with Adam Savage. I reject your reality and insert my own. He flat out said that he wasn't accepting it. He wasn't accepting that report because it paints him in a bad light. The administration doesn't think they could do anything wrong. So when you try to force them about this, like when you talk about crime, they laugh it off. When you talk about this, oh, well, they tell you we have to spend even more money in order to get us out of this inflation. We have to print more money. Hey, bozo, economics 101, inflation. Ready for this? When there is more demand than goods and services makes the goods and services increase in price, or if there is more money than there was before, it causes the dollar value to lower. Goods and services prices go up, the value of dollars go down, therefore you have less buying power. Inflation 101. It's in economics. If you paid attention in economics class, they teach you this. When the demand can no longer be fulfilled by the supply, the cost of the supply goes up. When the dollars are flooded into the market where the value of the dollar goes down, these numbers, which start to do this. So you're here, and then it goes, separates. I reject your reality and substitute my own. Yes, that is correct. That's what he said. I was paraphrasing, and I was off. Okay? So with inflation, what normally happens is, and I tell you, it'll do this. Goods and services versus money available, blah, blah, blah. There we go. Well, demand starts skyrocketing. Goods and services stays down here. So then what ends up happening? Value of goods and services versus dollars available goes up. Dollars available gets more, which means they go lower. And then you get that. Inflation, economics 101. You cannot spend more money to lower inflation. You can't. It is impossible. The entire system invalidates that very theory. So they're not going to do anything with inflation. Folks, buckle up. It's only going to get worse because they think that they're going to find some loophole into the economic theory that makes it all work. You won't. The economic theory is proven. It is what it is. More dollars representing the same amount of work or chasing the same amount of goods and services means each dollar is worth less. Yep. So remember, if there's only $100 in the system and there's only $100 worth of goods and services, it's balanced. If there's $1 billion in the system, but still only $100 worth of goods and services in the system, everybody with $1 billion is trying to get this $100 worth of goods and services. It makes this value go through the roof. The problem is, in the process, that $1 billion that everybody now has plummets. Benjamin, also good point in history to learn from. Germany during World War I and World War II did the same thing. They printed more francs, and it tanked the value. Bread went from 5 francs to 40 million. Remember, in some of those stories, you even know, people were showing up to buy coffee, a cup of coffee, with francs in a wheelbarrow. Because they weren't sure how much that cup of coffee was going to cost because it went up in price every 5 seconds. To give you an idea of how bad it is. And this is what this government is getting ready to do again. Or getting ready to do itself. It thinks we'll print more money, we'll give people more money, and that means they'll be able to afford this stuff. Well, with more people, with more money, that puts more demand. And then once that demand can no longer can be supported by what's available, the price of the available goes up, and the dollar value sinks. And pay when you order because it changed so fast. Well, I mean, if you could do that then, but then they couldn't. They could. It's not like they could call the local coffee shop on the phone and lock in hey, I want my 45 million franc cup of coffee. You couldn't do that then. You could do that now, but you can't do that then. And by the time they got there with the 45 million francs in a wheelbarrow, it was actually 60 million by the time they made it to the coffee shop. Okay? The franc value was so low, they were literally using it to start fires. And we're in the process of doing that same thing. You know that old story that if you don't learn from history, you're doomed to repeat it? We're at that point, and we have a president in the White House that thinks he doesn't do anything wrong. Remember, they sat there and said they created all these jobs. And then when you argue with somebody and you say, well, Biden didn't do anything, and they say, Biden created all these jobs. Then this is where you stump them. You ask them, well, how many jobs existed that are still there that people are now occupying again because the pandemic's lifting? What? How many of those jobs existed prior to the pandemic? Well, that's not what I'm saying. Well, no, but that's what it is. You didn't create any jobs. Like I said, I told Zion Brin this morning when we were talking about it, I'll give Biden credit. He created about 300,000 jobs. In a year that he's been in office, he's created about 300,000 jobs. But not this couple million that they keep promoting. If they actually created that, here's the sad reality, right? If they actually created the couple million jobs they claim they did, and then you take the jobs that we had prior to COVID, other than the the oil industry that we lost thanks to Biden, unemployment would be at like 1.5%. Tell me why it's not there. Because these are jobs that already existed. They weren't created. People just went back to work. Or some companies they're gone. Fake dangers from racism, from COVID, from climate, from Russia. It's all wagged the dog to keep us in chaos and hide their incompetence. One of the other things that's going to happen is, and I've started noticing this with Canada, keep an eye on Canada. Our government is looking at what's going on over there. Do you see all the attacks on freedom of speech that they're getting over there now? And by the way, don't believe the media bullshit about how it's full of white supremacists and terrorists and all this. But you notice now, the United States, I don't know if any of y'all caught this, DHS put out a memo yesterday. Actually, 2 or 3 days ago. Stating that anybody puts out misinformation is a terrorist. Well, according to their standards and what they stated in that memo by the DHS, I'm now a fucking terrorist. Evidently, because I don't agree with what's going on, and the problem is a lot of other people don't agree what's going on, but evidently we're now terrorists. Even governors in blue states have started to see the light on this, go, well, this shit just ain't right, and now they're lifting mandates and everything else, but now if you involve in a campaign of misinformation, you could be a terrorist. Even though what I'm telling you is fact. Everything I have told you tonight is 100% truth. The opinion part is, the opinion part, even though you could kind of take the numbers and back it up, is Biden thinks he's 100% perfect and can do no wrong. That's an opinion. But you being distracted away from the truth that it isn't as widespread as it is, I use numbers to back up. Why? Because numbers can't lie. Stats can't lie. I will tell you that I'm concerned for the people in Ukraine, and I hope that everybody that's American can get the hell out of there in time, because as we saw in Afghanistan, Biden ain't going to do shit to get you out. And they're not even doing shit to get these people out. They just told them to get out. They told them if you don't get out, you're on your own. You know, kind of like the people in Afghanistan. Mis or disinfo that disagrees with the government official line and causes anyone to distrust government institutions. But the problem is with that, we were told not to mistrust our government, that we're not supposed to rely completely on our government. Our founding fathers told us that. Why do you think one of the reasons the Second Amendment exists? That in case the government becomes so corrupt and so tyrannical that we have to overthrow them. But, once again, they label you as a terrorist. I mean, it's like they're labeling those truckers in Canada as terrorists. They're not terrorists. I watched an hour and a half's worth of live footage, and I'll give the man credit. Zot, Z-O-T, on YouTube. He's streaming live from the protest, right? These people are laughing and carrying around, and literally at one point, one guy bumped into another guy, and he's like, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry, excuse me, I am so sorry." It's like if somebody actually said a swear word, and Zot turned around and turned his camera, and goes, "Oh shit, I didn't realize you're streaming this. I am sorry." Okay. Yeah, and by the definition of what the DHS put out, you're not allowed to question the government. You're not allowed to question the government anymore. It's kind of funny. In 2016, we were told to question everything. For 4 years, we were told to question the government, to not believe anything. Now we're being told 4 or 5 years later, you're not allowed to question the government. Isn't that some stupid shit, folks? Isn't that just downright asinine? It is the dumbest damn thing ever. It's absolutely stupid. Like I said, I watched, you know how they showed about the truckers, the guy with the Confederate flag, watched the video on that. They literally, the moment the guy unrolled the flag, everybody in the crowd told him to get the fuck out. The 5 dudes that were standing on the side of the road with the swastika armbands on, people literally stopped, got out, and told them if they didn't leave, they were going to kick the shit out of them. They're not, this is not a BLM mostly peaceful protest. This isn't an Antifa mostly peaceful protest up there. For the hour that I watched this, I didn't see anything burning. I didn't see anybody looting shit. I saw a cooperative of people working together. Like the cops came up, told them they had erected this tent thing for kids to be able to go into and be able to eat and stay warm. They literally got told it was not there. They had to move it down the street. I watched the crowd literally in unison pick this thing up and march it down the street. Okay, together, and everybody cheering them on. And you know, nobody's destroying anything. Nothing. This is not. Why is it that you can get a group of people to burn down a city? We understand that it's a mostly peaceful protest. But when these people protest against a liberal government, they're terrorists. And they're the most peaceful assholes on the planet. Go to Canada. For the most part, these people pretty doggone nice, eh? And I watch this, and I go back and look at the media reports, and I'm like, the hell am I reading? What am I watching? You're watching a distraction because they don't want you to get the idea to stand up against them. They don't want you to get that idea. I mean, come on, they're even even the government is trying to push Spotify to get rid of Joe Rogan. And if you don't repeat or hit share and report it, because undermining trust in government institutions is a national security threat. By the way, folks, if you want to get yourself on the old list there, because evidently I'm probably full of misinformation and I stand against the government here. What you need to do, is boom, click subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and then share this to everyone you know. Especially this episode. Tell them they can fast forward through the first 5 minutes of it and get to this part of it. This part of it's the stuff you need to know. By the way, update on Joe Rogan. Okay. Everybody thinks that Joe Rogan has survived the fire that has happened. I don't believe so. I believe that they're still trying to get rid of him. The last-ditch effort will be the Democrats are going to send the FCC after Spotify and threaten to pull Spotify certifications if they don't cut him loose. If they do that, God help us, I hope at this point everybody in this country has finally had enough of them trying to censor freedom of speech. Look, folks, there is a difference between hate speech and speech that you hate. There is a difference between opinion and misinformation. Okay? The woke army is marching lockstep to shut everything down. It's like the emoji story I ran earlier, where if you use the wrong color emoji, that could be a sign of racism. That's horseshit. Most of you are like me. You don't look at the color of it. You just know, I'm going to give him a thumbs up. Oh, I want to give him a frowny face. You don't look at the color of the goddamn emoji. How many people actually look at the colors of their fucking emojis? Because it's a made-up bullshit hate. It's fake hate, and that's all this is. And that's all that is. They want to tell you what you're supposed to hate. That way, you don't see what's really going on. It's like Wizard of Oz. Don't pay attention to the man behind the curtain. That's the shit that's going on in this country. That's the shit that's going on in your country. Bring it to a stop. It's time we brought it to an end. They're watching how Canada does when they crack down, and if it's tolerated, abuse of authority is okay, and Rogan and the rest will get worse. Yes, it will. It will get way worse. But it's time we brought this crap to a stop. It's time we've had enough. I've had enough of it. I hope you've had enough of it. I know I've had enough of it, and most of you out there are probably like, well, I've had enough of your show. I hear you, because it's Friday, and I want to get out of here. But understand this, folks. In the grand scheme of things, don't let others determine who you are. It's not their place to determine the person that you are. It's yours. Only you can make that determination. And when you make that determination, then truly then can you live free. Dance like nobody's watching, even if everybody's watching. Folks, everybody here from the Rich Wilson Show, we got to get out of here. I want to give a shout out to Zion Bryn. Shout out to Ben, my boy Kill Mill out there. I hope you guys have yourselves a wonderful night out there. Have a great weekend. For some of you, the weather should be pretty gnarly. For some of you, it's going to be a little bit cold, but have yourselves a good night. For everybody here at the world famous Rich Wilson Show, and by the way, Dave, no complaints whatsoever tonight, brother. You did an excellent job. Good job, buddy. All right. Keep up the great work. So, folks, for everybody here, we'll see you back here on Monday. I'm Rich Wilson. You're not. That's a good thing. Trust me. We'll see you later. Have yourselves a good night, folks. We're gone. Bye.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.